Nigeria has honored Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the esteemed Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger award, making him the second foreign dignitary to receive this distinction after Queen Elizabeth in 1969. This marks the 17th international award conferred upon Prime Minister Modi by a foreign country. The announcement was made as Prime Minister Modi arrived in Nigeria for the first leg of his three-nation tour, which will also take him to Brazil and Guyana. Prime Minister Modi's visit is aimed at deepening the strategic ties between India and Nigeria, a partnership that has grown significantly in the recent years. Upon his arrival in Abuja, Prime Minister Modi was warmly welcomed by Nyesom Wike, Nigerian Minister for Federal Capital Territory, who presented him with the key to the city of Abuja. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also addressed the crowd after receiving this award. We're also going to cut across and get some visuals.
नाइजीरिया के राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार ग्रांड कमांडर ऑफ द ऑर्डर ऑफ द नाइजर से सम्मानित किए जाने पर मैं आपका, नाइजीरिया की सरकार और लोगों का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं इस सम्मान को विनम्रता और आदर भाव से स्वीकार करता हूं और इस सम्मान को 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों और भारत नाइजीरिया की गहरी मित्रता को समर्पित करता हूं। ये सम्मान हमें भारत और नाइजीरिया के बीच स्ट्रैटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को नई ऊंचाई पर ले जाने के लिए प्रेरित करता रहेगा। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और नाइजीरिया के संबंध आपसी सहयोग, सद्भाव और परस्पर सम्मान पर आधारित है। दो वाइब्रेंट डेमोक्रेसीज और डायनेमिक इकोनॉमीज के ग्रुप में हम मिलकर दोनों देशों के लोगों की भलाई के लिए काम करते रहे हैं। दोनों देशों में सामाजिक और सांस्कृतिक विविधता हमारी पहचान है, हमारी ताकत है। नाइजीरिया के रिन्यूड होप एजेंडा और विकसित भारत 2047 के बीच कई समानताएं हैं। पिछले साल राष्ट्रपति तिनुबू की भारत यात्रा से हमारे संबंधों में नया आयाम जुड़ा है। आज अपने आपसी सहयोग को और अधिक सुदृढ़ और व्यापक बनाने पर विस्तार से चर्चा की। अर्थव्यवस्था, ऊर्जा, कृषि, सुरक्षा, फिनटेक, स्मॉल एंड मीडियम स्केल एंटरप्राइजेज और सांस्कृतिक क्षेत्रों में नई संभावनाओं की पहचान की है। एक करीबी और विश्वसनीय पार्टनर के रूप में नाइजीरिया के लोगों की आवश्यकताओं के अनुरूप स्किल डेवलपमेंट और कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग पर विशेष रूप से बल दिया जाएगा। नाइजीरिया में रहने वाले 60,000 से अधिक भारतीय समुदाय हमारे संबंधों में अहम कड़ी है। उनकी देखभाल के लिए मैं राष्ट्रपति तिनुबू और उनकी सरकार का हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। फ्रेंड्स, अफ्रीका में नाइजीरिया की बहुत बड़ी और सकारात्मक भूमिका रही है और अफ्रीका के साथ करीबी सहयोग भारत की उच्च प्राथमिकता रहा है। हमारे सभी प्रयासों में हम नाइजीरिया जैसे मित्र देश के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर आगे बढ़े हैं। भारत और नाइजीरिया भी मिलकर दोनों देशों के लोगों और पूरे अफ्रीका महाद्वीप की समृद्धि के लिए मिलकर आगे बढ़ेंगे। हम करीबी समन्वय के साथ काम करते हुए ग्लोबल साउथ के हितों और प्राथमिकताओं को महत्व देंगे। एक्सेलेंसी, एक बार फिर इस सम्मान के लिए मैं 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की ओर से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
All right, well, let's talk about this. Important to discuss, obviously, this honor that has been bestowed upon the Prime Minister and the relationship that's going to be facilitated as a result of this expression by the Nigerian government. Professor Madhav Nalapad, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian, with us on the program. Mr. Alok Mehta, Editorial Director of India News, also with us on the show. Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director of India Foundation, also joins us. Last but by no means the least, Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor, former diplomat, also with us on the show. Professor Nalapad, how do you see this development? Obviously, we've been discussing this for the most part of the day, that, India has championed the African cause, and there is a sense of altruism, if I can use that word, when it comes to India's agenda, when it comes to Africa, vis-a-vis what China has been doing. So,
well, look, Vineet, the fact is that the African Union is now a proud member of the G21, what's now the G21. The European Union has been a member from the beginning, and Prime Minister Modi worked very hard to ensure that the African Union also became a member, and that in 2023, when he was the chairman of the G20, he got that done. So, Africa is a very special continent where Prime Minister Modi is concerned, and a continent where India has long been involved, and where relationships have been built very strongly during the time of Prime Minister Modi. I wanted to say that I remember, for example, that this particular award was given in 1969. Earlier, I think in 1961, Queen Elizabeth was visited Ghana. At that point in time, Kwame Nkrumah, the intrepid freedom fighter who became the Prime Minister of Ghana, Nkrumah was standing there, and Queen Elizabeth walked up to him and requested a dance. It shocked the royal household. It shocked the British establishment, and frankly, it's a very pleasant surprise to all the Ghanaians who were there. And there was Nkrumah, there was a very good chance that he would decide to leave the Commonwealth. Many of his associates had said, there's no point continuing this, but Ghana continued in the Commonwealth. Now, as far as Nigeria is concerned, the fact of the matter is, it's a very, very important country. Its natural resources are huge, really huge. Its people are very, very talented, and there is no question that it's one of the most important countries in the global south, not just in the African continent, but in the global south. And the Prime Minister has been stressing the global south, India, Brazil, South Africa, the trilateral alliance involving the South American continent, African continent, and the Asian continent through India. It's been given new life since 2014. And if I may say so, Vineet, India is by far the largest country in the global south, and under Prime Minister Modi is a very close friend of the global south, and he boosts the global south wherever he goes, whereas frankly China pretends to be part of the global south, when the reality is neither geographically nor in economic terms does it qualify to be part of the global south. So I think this Nigeria, the greatest award in Nigeria, again, that was given to Queen Elizabeth in 1969. But don't forget that it was soon after Nigeria became a free country. And, the mood was slightly different then. But Queen Elizabeth I was very skillful, was very, very skillful in ensuring that personal diplomacy worked and the Commonwealth was kept together. And that is a very big plus in Queen Elizabeth II's cap, at least during the earlier part of her rule. Now you have so many places in Africa that are special to Prime Minister Modi, and I think this is a very noble gesture by the Nigerian government. The Prime Minister has, with dignity, with humility, accepted it, and he's accepted it as an honor to the 1.4 billion people of India. So don't forget, he calls himself the Pradhan Sevak. So I think it's a very important occasion, and it shows not only India-Nigeria friendship, but India-Africa friendship and India's very close partnership with the global south beneath.
Absolutely. And General Katoch, India has been a champion when it comes to the inclusivity aspect of the global south. Look what we did in G20. It was something which could have done in the past by a number of hosts, but it was not. And India took the initiative.
Thank you, Vineet. Vineet, I totally agree with Professor Madhav Nalpat. It's a great honor which has been bestowed on the Prime Minister and also on the country. When honors such as this are bestowed, there are two things which are under consideration: the stature of the leader and the relationship with the country concerned. Which is why you don't see too many leaders getting awards from a host of countries. Here, when India is becoming more and more the voice of the South, of the global South. And Africa is a very strong component as far as the global South is concerned. I think fundamentally it is because of the inclusivity aspect. India doesn't discriminate. India is not a transactional ally. India makes it very certain, okay, we'll help you. And as the Prime Minister continues to say, security and growth for all in the region. That, of course, is pertaining to the oceans, but the principle applies also with our bilateral relations with a host of countries, where when India rises, we expect the others to rise too. It is a win-win situation rather than a zero-sum game, where if I have to rise, somebody else has to be brought down to enable my rise. Having said that, it just as a matter of interest, when I was studying this, when I was going through certain data. The National Defence College course, which is held in Delhi for about a year or so, 3 former Nigerians have later on gone on to become the heads of the government. That is also reflective of the fact that of the close relationship between the two countries, that a large number of Nigerians continue to come to India to attend the NDC. And practically every year there is an officer or so who comes. That is one. Number two, during the visit of their president last year, the business community within India, they pledged about $14 billion as an investment in Nigeria. When we are looking at the economy or at the geopolitical situation, I think all African countries consider India as a very safe bet. And as Madhav Nalpat very correctly said, it is totally different from the way they view China, which the Chinese approach is certainly transactional. It is a totally 100% business approach that, okay, I'll give you this, I'll get this, and it better come in time, otherwise I'll take your assets. So it is a sort of a forced approach with the Chinese put. I think the Indian approach is far more friendly, in that spirit of friendship, I think the Prime Minister has been conferred this award, only the second person to be so conferred by the Nigerian president. I think it's a great honor, and as the Prime Minister said, it is not just for him, it is for the people of India, all 140 crores of them. And I think it is a good day. And I think with this, the India's relations with Nigeria and with the rest of Africa will further strengthen. Vineet.
Mr. Mehta, how do you look at this relationship fructifying, and how does this also reinstate as well as reimpose, the stature that India enjoys as not only an aspiring global power, but a power that is, of course, focused on taking others along as well?
Nalpat and General Atoj. Because, I feel because Prime Minister Narendra Modi, since when he started as a Prime Minister in 2014, he is thinking for the long-term relations. What earlier the superpower, the China, Chinese and United States used to talk about the for next 20 years, 50 years. Same thing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in India also talk about the 2047, 2047. So how the situation will be in Africa, Nigeria, the population will be more than double, means 40 crores and more than that. Now it is 22 crores. So see, this kind of strategic relations, when we talk about the United States or Britain and Russia, but maybe it is a temporary. But these kind of relations, I think that's why the honor by Nigerian, it's a great honor. Certainly we feel proud that after Elizabeth, because Queen Elizabeth at the time, how when they got freedom, what Professor Nalpat also mentioned, I think this is a great honor in they could have given to Xi Jinping also, because in September they met, and they also have a good relation with China, but just it's a business, and the attitude, and they see on the dais how our Prime Minister behave and what the Chinese behave. So this kind of kindness and the relations for the long term. Unfortunately, what happened in earlier years, when we were talking to other countries also, we had good relations. And I remember when we went to Ghana, I think it was a Narsingh Rao time. At the time, Narsingh Rao or Gujal, I don't remember, Narsingh Rao ji. You see, at the time also the president was trained in India. So these kind of relations we had the Africa. Burkina Faso, a small country. But we always try to do what Prime Minister Narendra Modi is doing in this country. Nigeria is natural resources. Earlier, our government, because I am not quoting here somebody, but the ambassador used to say, we wanted to purchase some oil field, but because of the bureaucracy or the corruption were there, so it was not possible. Now we need oil, we need natural resources. Same thing, they need for health and education. You see, for education, it's a very big scope. You see, Professor Nalpat will tell you better than me, because number of our universities, Ashoka universities, Manipal universities, OP General universities, number of universities are very prestigious in the world, with the international standard. The Hero, the Bangalore, they started the collaboration with India, but certainly they have the Hero school in Bangalore now. In Britishers, they are coming to their schools in India. So these kind of education, we will also provide education to Nigerian people, Nigerian young generation, and the same thing for health facilities. From Corona period also, every country, they are honoring, because the India, and especially the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, especially talk to everybody, most of the country. Apart from politics and trade relations, economic relations, I think this is the long way and strategical, ultimately, to counter the world politics with India, not only the United Nations, but on our sea border, or for natural resources, for economic relations, for developing countries. In G20, now the role of India, what we did in last 2-3 years with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I think it's a historical changes, and that's why the Americans, or Russians, the Chinese, they're accepting that India is emerging in next 100 years for India. Now they are thinking, they are worried, but even then they are not fighting with anybody. We are trying to have good relations, even with China also. You see recently what happened in the border issues. We are now very normal. So I think these kind of relations we are maintaining. That's why we can have good relations, and that's why it's an honor for peace and prosperity for both the society, for both the country.
Absolutely. Ambassador Kapoor, your thoughts on this? And this is a landmark moment for India and the Prime Minister as well, who perhaps is prolific when it comes to recognitions from other countries.
Thank you, Vinny. India has had a very benevolent and positive relations in a very bona fide manner for the last over 5,000 years with a large number of countries and civilizations all over the world. This Prime Minister has the understanding of that great history and those great relationships we have had with a large number of countries. So in that way, he is a diplomat par excellence. He understands how to, sort of bring it to fruition, how to take it forward, how to understand the past, how to work on the future. So all those aspects he brings together in his persona. So it is just a fitting recognition of the Prime Minister. I have worked a lot in Africa personally. I was there for about 4 years in Tanzania. I worked on the Africa Fund for a short time. I worked in the ministry on part of the African continent in East Africa for a while in the Ministry of External Affairs. So I have a fairly good understanding of what the African continent means to India and how it is very important. And the Prime Minister did the right thing, as Professor Nalapat and the other panelists have mentioned, of putting Africa on the global map in a very big way by including the African Union in G20 and making it G21. And in Brazil now, where the Prime Minister will be going next, the G21 meeting will be held, where African Union will be participating as a full member. So he has worked very hard to portray, to push forward the vision of the global South in a very significant manner. Even in Nigeria, for example, there are more than 60,000 Indian diaspora, which is a very large number by far for West Africa, the largest in the West African part of the continent. Now, you have very solid relations, economic relations, trade relations, and there's a lot of diaspora from Nigeria and India, and significant diaspora there. Our telecom industry was very significantly present. They helped to set up the base. So in so many countries of Africa, we have helped to set up the entire institutions, the staff and command colleges, for example, in Tanzania where I was there. And so the audit, establishment, the accounting establishment, so many national ministries and departments have been set up by India. So there is a very deep bond and a deep connection. Of late, China had been trying to get into that space. It has succeeded in a short-sighted transactional manner. But the number of Indian diaspora which has been working there, so for a lot of Africans, they see Indians, from birth to death, in the sense the doctor who delivers the African is an Indian, the teacher who teaches the Africans are Indians, the employee who gives jobs, employer who gives jobs to the Africans are Indians. So from all aspects of life, the trader who's there having a big trading shop is an Indian. For them, it's a daily experience of interacting with Indians. Now, from that perspective also, to continue and build upon those bonds is very, very important. And the Prime Minister is definitely destined for much greater sort of honors, higher honors at the international level, particularly if there's a level playing field. He deserves, the best, highest honors of the world. But let's see whether that comes through, because even Mahatma Gandhi, I was told, was nominated a few times for the Nobel Peace Prize, but it wouldn't come through, and he ultimately passed away without being awarded that prize. So let us see what happens in this case, but I think he's doing a very good job, because there is a ceremonial part which is always very important in any visit, and the substantive part. Honors like these are important ceremonial recognitions and convey a very deep message, but the substantive part of his work has always been very deep and profound also.
All right, on that note, we'll conclude the show. Appreciate everybody who joined us and spoke about this particular matter.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.